Hello, my loves, and welcome back to another episode of Embracing Power and Potential. I am so excited today. We have a special guest on. His name is Evan, and he is the world's first party coach. I think his work is just so cool. He shares his 7-step framework to party through life with intention, and there's just so much value in this conversation. I know that you'll love it, so share this to your Insta stories and to any friends and family who need to hear this as well. And I have linked all of Evan's links in the show notes so you can connect with him after this episode. Love you guys and enjoy. Welcome, listeners, to Embracing Power and Potential, your go-to podcast where we travel through the realms of personal growth, mindset mastery, and fear-conquering strategies to help achieve your greatest desires. I'm your host, Portia, and I'm thrilled to be your guide on this transformative experience. If you're ready to unleash your authentic power and elevate your life, you're in the right place. Join me and our special guests as we embark on conversations that will broaden your horizons and enrich your journey. So, sit back and immerse yourself in these unmatched discussions. It's time to expand your mind and your life.
Hello.
Hi, how are you today?
So good. Let me 1 second. My
No worries. Take your
speaker.
time.
Do you like meditate or do you have any like breathing practices at all?
Yes,
All
I
right,
do.
can we
I was
like
actually,
do you want to like take 3 breaths to start together?
please. Yes, I would love that. Okay.
Let's ground ourselves here in the present moment.
Yes.
Let's take a breath in of everything that led up to this moment and let that go. Let's take everything that's might come out of this, all those things in the future. Let's breathe those in and release. Now this last one, let's just meet here right in the present moment. And release. Thank you. I was
That
just
was
coming from a
beautiful.
workout class and I needed to ground in. So
Oh, I love that. I'm so glad that we both just did that together. I genuinely feel a lot more grounded and in the present moment now. So, welcome to Embracing Power and Potential.
thank you for having
I-
me.
I'm so glad to be hosting you today. I just reading from your email, everything that you put in there and the work that you do, I really resonated so deeply with what you said because I don't know if you do this yourself, but I like to have like a word and theme for my year. And this year, my word was meaningful. And when you were talking about just having more joyful connection in your personal life and your professional lives, that really hit deep with me. And I thought, yes, that is what I'm about this year. So I'm glad to have you here.
Thank you. Can I ask why you chose meaningful? Have you had particularly not meaningful years lately? What helped you choose meaningful?
I think it's just more so being intentional with my like time and where I'm placing my energy and not so much just rushing through life. You know, we always say, wow, that was such a fast week, or wow, it's the end of the year already. And I feel like I hadn't taken in many moments and it just is happening too fast around me. So being in the present moment and intentionally making every moment meaningful is really my focus for the year.
So I used to make these huge lists of all these goals and all these things that I would like to accomplish. And I was moderately successful in them, but I just choose one word for a year. And my word this year is grounded. So that's why I began
Perfect.
with that little thing because I identify as I don't like to say I have ADHD. I don't know what I have, right? I have this just excitement and I love everything and I want to go and chase and do everything. And I love that about myself. And also I've learned that as I get a little older and as I spend more time in this world, I get more meaning out of things when I can be a little more grounded.
Yes, yes, 100%. No, I love that so much. And I so can resonate with wanting to do everything and feeling the excitement for life because that's what I'm like. I'm like going for different opportunities and even different like jobs, like just random events and things like that that I can do. And I'm like, preaching there, you don't have to work so hard and things like that. But I'm out here doing all of the things. But then I like to change the perspective and being like, I'm doing it for the experiences that I get out of life. It's a different way to look at things if it's work in a sense, I guess.
Yes.
So I love your perspective on life and partying through life with intention. I think that's such a positive outlook and with optimism. And I'm, all about that. I'm sort of a happier sort of person and I like to be very optimistic. So I'd love to ask how you started this sort of work.
Yeah. So first of all, thanks again for having me on. My name's Evan. I go by the world's first party coach. And I want to say that I'm generally a happy person. I think because I don't force myself to be happy. And I allow myself to be messy and sad and dark. And I allow myself to not party the right way. Sometimes I party with intention, sometimes I don't. And I allow myself the full spectrum of experience. And
Yes.
because of that, I feel like the have you heard the phrase toxic positivity?
Yes. I was going
Yeah.
to talk on that today.
Yeah. And maybe we can get there, but I feel like my friends are often like, "How are you happy all the time?" And I'm like, "I'm not happy all the time. I'm grateful all the time. I'm grateful
Yes.
to be human. I'm grateful I get to suffer. I'm grateful I get to see death and suffering and get to experience all those things because it makes like some of the most powerful parties I've been to have been around funerals and death and like celebrating the death and life of people. And that to me is really important. So how this came to be is a long series of my own journey through, you know, alcohol, cocaine, addiction, but we can get into that, into the death of my mother, overdose of friends, of never feeling like I belong, of sublimating my sexuality, of like having to go celibate because I was addicted to sex, like all of those things. And through them all, finding the party scene as a place where I could be all of those things and be the biggest version of myself and not feel ashamed of it.
Yes. Wow. I understand you completely. And I do talk a lot about on the podcast and even just in general about how lucky we are to be human and to be able to experience every emotion, sad, anger, all of it, joy, because we won't get the joy and the happiest moments without having those darkest moments. And it's the paradox of life that is so beautiful.
Yeah. And that's such a good I'm going back out on the podcast circuit after not really. I took about 6 months off after doing this for 4 years. And that word paradox is one of the words that that's might be my other word is partying is a paradox, the same way life is. and
Yes.
try to make partying the best thing ever, you're gonna end up um I won't say having a bad experience, but you might end up, I think, wasting time because you'll be
Yep.
searching for something that's not there.
Yes. Wow, that is so powerful. And yeah, I resonate deeply with all of that because obviously I, have a history of partying myself and I've, come out the other end as well. And I know how such different versions and paradoxes of my own self there is, and I party through life now, but with intention in such a healthy way. Whereas
Mhm.
before it was the complete opposite. So yeah, I'm so
Yeah.
glad that you've touched on that today.
Yeah. What's a recent party that you've been to that you felt like was really aligned with your current version of yourself?
I think even just like honestly, in my life, I don't have a lot of people or communities around me in my like 3D that I do resonate with and that are on my sort of path and understand my journey. But I do connect with a lot of communities online within like my
Mhm.
business coach and the communities that she's created. So that's where I feel the most alive in my current version is when I am on these calls with these girls that are in the same mindset as me and are coaches as well and understand it because some people in my world in my closest family and things they don't get what it is to a mindset coach. This is all sort of new to them. And it's like nearly like not real, it's like this thing that just sort of is talked about, but it's like not a tangible thing that they've seen before. So, yeah, just online connecting is such a game changer. And to anyone else as well that's listening and you don't really have that community around you, finding them online is where you will find your people.
Yes, I echo that, and I think social media and digital world gets so much, I think, rightful call outs nowadays, but
Yes.
I
Yeah.
found so much joy and connection and love, and I do most of my coaching community. I found people online, and I'm able to coach people all across the world, which is
Exactly.
so cool. And uh, you were mentioning that feels like a party to you, right? Of going through these mindset shifts with people. I want
Yes.
to offer a brief definition of party that I'm working on, that it's always evolving. But to
I
me,
love
a
that.
party is actually two to three components. One, party literally means like to participate, right? But the word itself is a paradox because party means, like, it sounds like a community, but party, the partier means to split off, right? So it's like to split. And so participate in an exclusive community. So a party where every single person is invited is not really a party, right? We've been to it's like parties can be inclusive, but they are typically inclusive because they are part of a certain in group, right? So
Yes. Yeah.
like a like a female DJ led like women collective is like a really good like inclusive party in one way, right?
Yeah.
Versus I've been to some really great, like really dark underground ravey things where maybe drugs and alcohol are the things that are there, but like that brings a certain type of community that feels exclusive. It feels naughty. It feels like,
Yes.
there's not going to be, the cops aren't going to be here, right? And like
Yeah.
of exclusivity is good. And so I
And
always,
everyone's on that same wavelength too. Sorry, keep continue.
yes. Yeah. So so that's is where I was gonna go kind of with the third one. I heard you mention 3D, and I'd love to go, if you want to dive into spirituality stuff, I'd love to go there because that's what I think I'm trying to figure out is like So the first component is kind of mental. The second component is kind of like our body, like how do we exclusively? And the third is frequency, right? Which is what is the frequency of this experience? Is it an altered state, right? Are we literally through breath work or through maybe it's drugs and alcohol, maybe it's just being in a vibration with a certain type of people? Like, what is that altered state that's different from our regular everyday thing? So, party, to participate in some sort of exclusive experience that brings about some sort of altered state, meaning it's just different from your everyday life. That can be a workout class, right? Like you're sweating and you're growing, but it's like an altered state from just what you regularly are.
Yes, yes. I love that so much. And honestly, I learned just something today because I did not know that was the actual definition of, is that the actual definition of party, or is that what you've
So
come
I
up
do
with
so
and
that
evolved?
those three are definitions. I will say the
Yeah,
first thing that I talked about, like partier, like to split, that is
yeah,
the etymology of the word. Like it comes
yeah,
from like originally like a party in a lawsuit would be like somebody who's like suing someone else, right? Like
yes,
the different parties,
exactly.
that's how they would split people up. And then it became a hunting party, right? So like someone
Wow.
would they would split off into different parties. So there would be different parties that would go hunting. So that's kind of the
Yeah,
history of the word. And it only started to mean, party as in drink or do drugs 100 years ago, maybe 150 years ago. Um, so that's a fairly new definition of that word.
yeah. Wow, that's so interesting. I honestly did not know that. And that, like, I love that. And everything that you've said, I preach and I'm obsessed with your work. So I love it so much. And I'd love definitely to dive into the spirituality side as well, because I know that you talked with me about the collective push for authenticity that is happening around us, and moving from these societal expectations and the normalities that we're used to. And you said that so many people that you work with are feeling the same type of way. So I'd love to know your take on this and why you think this is happening collectively.
So I feel we are you familiar with like chakra system?
Yes,
Like root chakra, sacral chakra, solar plexus, heart, throat as we move up.
yes,
I've learned and I think I believe from a lot of my teachers, as a society, we're moving from kind of this solar plexus where it's very based on, your relations to people, right? And hierarchies and those places, moving there into more of a like heart-centered experience of what it's like to be on this planet. And more and in some ways it's might present as feminine, but I think it has a lot of both polarities in it. But we're starting to really see that the old institutions and the ways that we organized what was important to us are changing and shifting, and in its place we're experiencing this like scattering of individuality and love that is kind of like us, like we have this love of experience for the world, and we
yes,
see the joy in the suffering and in a lot of the darkness, but a lot of people
yeah,
don't see that yet.
yet,
And
exactly.
and and it's creates a lot of separateness and a lot of justified like anger and and betrayal and and a lot of those things and this is a long answer, but bringing it back to it's all in the right time, and like
Yeah,
we're on the earth at such an amazing time.
yeah,
But if you would have talked to me 5 years ago, before I'd kind of gone through some of my own transformations, I think I was very angry and wouldn't have felt this same thing.
Yes.
And like now I just feel so at peace and ready for like whatever's gonna happen. But that's come through a lot of the suffering and all of that. And to bring that around is like I believe that partying, my role is to show partying as a portal for people to experience the possibility that your heart can open up on a dance floor or in a warehouse or in a space where you might disagree politically, you might have you might hate the person dancing across from you, but for that one moment, like your heart opens up. And that is the potential of partying.
Yes. No, I love that so much. And I will say, I did actually go to a rave a few weeks ago. And it's
Oh,
the
yes.
one that I do go to every year because it's the type of music. It's actually way before my time. It's my parents' era of music. But I always say that I'm only 22, so I'm still quite young. And I feel like I was always born in the wrong era, especially when it comes to like music. And so
Yeah.
it's like the sort of dance, house sort of music vibe. And when I'm
Yes.
telling you that my heart, honestly, the euphoric feeling that you feel there, and it is collective, like you just have a glance at someone else and you're all in that same frequency, that feeling is unmatched.
House
So,
music heals,
and
baby.
I love it. So I really do genuinely understand when you say like partying through life in that sense of actually being there and feeling the music and the vibrations. And that is, yeah, another level.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love that. Well, yeah, congrats on just being where you're at 22, because listen, I was where I needed to be, but
Yeah.
I was chasing, dive bars and a lot of darkness. Um, but uh, I will say, spending so long in darkness and a lot of time in benders and drinking and dark places, and it's given me the capacity to hold energy for people that may have spent a long time in that
Yes.
I don't know if people that have only spent time in the light or have spent a lot of time in the light are able to do that.
No,
And
100%.
yeah, so that's like, again, I just have so much gratitude for all right now, and that confuses so many people, but I'm just like so grateful for it.
And like you wouldn't be the person that you are without having those experiences and having those versions of yourself that have taught you different things and lessons that you needed to be learn and to evolve to who you are right now. Because well, that's how I sort of feel on my journey of really going through the darkness, when my ages was from about 15 through to about 18, 19. I was, in dark sort of time in my life, and partying was my life. I don't know how I functioned and actually went through school and did everything while I was like that. But I'm grateful to have been that version of myself, number one, because I am, still quite young, and I've sort of like, I know that version of myself, like I'm done with, and I'm so grateful to be able to evolve at such a young age already. But also being able to be a space, like you said, for other people, I feel like because I understand the paradox of life and have seen so many different walks and can understand on their level, I can be like a space for people that, need that sort of guidance.
Yes. Oh, yes. I'm grateful that you're, yeah, learning to share these gifts. Because again, that is my other experience is I've needed to sometimes spend some time in isolation. You know, there can be a lot of I've noticed I'm in some ways more sensitive to energies in the world.
Yeah.
And that's good, but also, it means that I get to learn to protect myself and value myself. But I feel most at flow when I am kind of in service. And my motto this year is serve the party, save humanity.
I love that. I love that so much. Yeah, that's perfect. I did want to also touch on because I know that you did mention your framework. You've got a 7 step framework that you
Yeah.
teach with your people. And I'd love if you could share some of that with my audience, our audience today. And yeah, I think that I would love to know a lot about it, but I'm sure my
Yeah,
audience will get so much value as well.
of course. So this is a framework that I've developed over the last 4 to 5 years. Kind of it developed somewhat organically, but the idea I was really trying to help people who had anxiety around partying. Maybe they stopped drinking or working around something with sobriety, or they moved to a new city and didn't know anyone. There's lots of kind of root causes, but the idea was how do I kind of like rebuild and refresh my social life, right? How do I connect with what that is? So it's called the Party Within. And the basic concept is that kind of what we talked about is like within all of us, there's a party, right? Every human comes innately equipped with a party. It's going to be a little different for everyone, and it's probably going to be a little different in every situation. But the kind of the secret to it is what you just mentioned, which is that instead of thinking of I need to consume these things to party. I need to look a certain way. I need to wear an outfit. I need to be on this drug. I need to have my life in order. I need to have all, instead of starting from there, it flips the script and it goes from the opposite, which is how do I serve the party? So,
Yes.
examples of this, you're nervous about your friend's baby shower, and there's going to be a bunch of girls there that you don't know. And you're you're not sure what you do. So instead of like worrying about your outfit and all you're gonna do, you email your friend and be like, "Hey, I'm like a little anxious about this party. What can I do to like serve the party? Can I be the person who gives uh name tags? Can I make name tags for everyone when they come in? Or can I be the one? Can you put me to work in the kitchen? So like, can I do the dishes? Like to start. But creating an anchor of purpose for yourself inside of that party. And starting from that point, you move backwards. I've rarely been able to go past that point, but like when I
Yeah.
do that with clients, they're like, "Oh, I feel great."
Yes. Wow.
Um,
That is amazing. I will be taking that on board.
Yeah. So to back it all up, though, the 7 stages of the process are actually broken down. And are you familiar with like the alchemical process, like
Not
alchemy at all?
quite. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So like alchemy, right? Or a lot of or many spiritual esoteric practices, tarot, anything
Yes.
are in stages of 7. It's based very similar on tarot and alchemy, Kabbalah, any of those
Love
things,
that.
but it replaces that with contemporary ways of kind of a 7 stage process. The first one is like it's kind of like a detox, right? So you do 7 days of like no social media, no caffeine, no alcohol, no anything, and you just kind of like detach a little bit to create some
Mhm.
clarity. Stage
I
two is
love
make
that
peace.
first so much
Yeah,
already.
yeah. Stage two
Like,
is make peace with ghosts, and it's all about like looking at the nostalgia, the things that you might chase from the past. So and actually I don't want to speed run through this but the and maybe we can go one by one through them if you're curious, but I think it might
yeah.
actually be more interesting to um Yeah, what for you kind of like what are those things that you feel kind of like are distracting kind of in your day-to-day life? Some of us social media is one I'm struggling with right now.
I was honestly going to say the same. That is my
Yeah.
thing. I put my phone in another room at the moment. It's like my I have to do that to I don't know why. I'm like last year, I never went on my phone unless it was for work and posting and things like that. I was really good. And then I think because I am working a lot more, it is a soother for me. I know it's not actually, we're not resting ourselves and everything, but I seem to just be there scrolling and catch myself. And I'm like, oh, put my phone away. So, yes, that's my thing right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. Again, it's as because as we started, I love how social media connects me to
Yeah.
people and the world. It's my job. You know, it's how I get clients. It's how I
Yeah.
make my living.
The paradox again, you
And
know?
also, yeah, and also, it's I have to be really honest, things like, what alcohol did for me was like it got me friends. It like it developed all these things for me, right? What so many things have done for me in the past. Um, I get to go on a journey of integrating it in my life, not just saying it's evil, it's bad, like pushing it away, but yeah, I'm really in it right now of because I find myself I'm getting a little older and it's like I'm look like how I look and how I present. I was never self-conscious about that ever. And I'm starting to get all these, oh, you're too old, you look like crap, like you don't even like you don't want to, and it's silly, right? But those are the things that start to come like manifest in these addictions that we have, right? They compel us to want to be better people, but
Yeah,
also, that they'll pull at our insecurities too.
no, 100%. Yeah, I so agree with that so
Yeah.
much. And that's why, it can be so hard that being in this space, but it's also so beautiful at the same time. And you get to connect and learn so much that you wouldn't by keeping yourself in a box of just what your everyday life looks like around you, you know?
Yes. Yes. Um, sorry, I just want to pull up. I want to go through. I have like a a party within method. Here we go. Go. Cool. Anyway, so to just kind of go through the other steps of this party within.
Yeah,
Um,
no, take your time, no stress.
yeah. So, the first one is kind of like to go from numbing to like being more awake, right?
Yeah.
Stage two is kind of going from these ghosts of the past, the nostalgia that we're chasing, right? These things that we tell ourselves, like I'm a social person or I'm not, I'm an introvert, I'm an extrovert. It's taking all of those labels that we have and dissolving those, right? Getting rid of the stories and just again, we're sort of creating a blank space for it to work with.
Mm-hmm. Do you dive into
Stage
shadow
three,
work in those steps?
yes.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's kind of this the shadow, and we get to a little bit more in later. But then we
Yeah.
move into like getting into the body. So week three, we start something that's called the wellness bender, which
I
is
love.
yeah. So it's like a 21 day um habits that are, everything from like eating clean to I have them literally just dance every day. Get in your body and dance, and we'll like get on Zoom and dance for 3 minutes together. And I'll create a playlist, and I love music, and so I'll create house music playlists, and we'll dance, and people are so scared, right? They are terrified to like be dancing in their apartments or, um, but if you're unwilling to be in your body
Yeah.
and just be in that. Um, I have bad news for you. You know, like you're
People,
gonna yeah.
no,
Go
I
ahead.
so agree. People like underestimate the power of dancing and
Hmm.
feeling so connected within your body and just moving with the flow of your body. Like that truly, I love to do that myself just to, when I'm in a funk, just to change my energy and my vibration. And it is something that I am currently doing. I know that we should do it every day, but right now I am doing like a 30-day abundance sort of course with my business coach. And the first thing that we do in the morning is we give three thanks and gratitudes. And then we put on an abundance playlist and we dance for 3 minutes, like you said as well. And
Yes, I
that's the
love that
first
other
thing we do
yes,
in the
I love
morning.
that you're doing it.
So
It's
I
great.
love that you said that, and I
Yeah.
can connect with that so much right now.
Yeah. And again, for anyone who's listening and you're like, that sounds cringy or that sounds stupid, it kind of is, you know,
Yeah.
and you gotta do it anyway, you know,
Yes.
and you
I
either
felt weird
trust that, yeah, yeah.
the
And
first
you
time
either
doing
trust
it.
that like that's that feeling of cringe or like I don't want to do that. Like that feeling is what's blocking you, like literally physically in your body. It's often blocking you from the experience of the thing that you actually want.
Yes. No, 100%. And we have to be uncomfortable with feeling uncomfortable. That is how we grow and evolve and move into these new vibrations and versions of ourselves.
Yes. Um, yes.
Sorry, but
So
continue with
then,
the framework.
yeah. So the next one is, and it's called different things, but it's kind of like making contact. So it's a lot of outreach, right? It's basically, I give people assignments like, say hi to people in coffee shops, or, you're gonna
I love.
call 20 of your friends and you're gonna like leave voice notes or messages to people and you're just gonna compliment them. And it's all about like putting energy back out the world of like reconnecting with people.
Yes.
And such
Yes.
beautiful things come out of this. I've had people that are like, thought their friends had ghosted them or, had created these stories in their heads about, things that had happened. And it turns out the other person was like, I was like waiting for, like, I was so scared to reach out to you. You seem like you're living like such a crazy life and you seem so busy. And like, I've just been waiting to hear from you. And it's like people create these stories in their head. But if you just get in the
Exactly.
action of reconnecting, people want to connect.
Yes. Wow. That is so perfectly said. And you couldn't be more accurate with that. The stories
Yeah.
that we make in our head is wild and it blocks us from just living beautiful lives and just connecting with people. So love.
Yes. And so the next step is called build your tribe. And so this one is about this is a little more thinking, but we take everything we've learned so far, like what felt good, what didn't, right? And all these stories that you've had in the past. But what does your tribe look like now? This version of whoever you are. What are the type of people that are hanging out with? What do they think? What do they do? What is that? And we sort of create a whole bunch of words and identities and things of what that feels like. And then step 6 is host your ritual. And this is involved like starting a party, but this will be an ongoing weekly or monthly party that you can constantly be inviting to people, right? So examples of this are I'm starting a moon circle, right? Because I want to be
Yes.
around like spiritual woo-woo people, but like it starts with two people, but every month I host a moon circle. And everyone that you meet, you're like, are you interested in a moon circle? And people say yes or no, but you always have something to invite people to. You start to grow your tribe, and your tribe just grows and grows and grows. And people have done such cool stuff with this.
I
It can
could
be
only
fitness
imagine.
related, it can be art related, it can be anything, but you like host this ritual and you build your tribe. And
Yes.
then the final step 7 is essentially like synthesis. And it's what happens when people don't show up? What happens when your life blows up? What happens when you change again and you don't like any of the people that are coming to your ritual. You know?
Yes.
And so this is, we get a little bit, but this is where it loops back, which is this is where you go back into service, right? And kind of begin again, right? In the moment, be like, okay, how can I go serve someone else? And then you start back from step one. I
Yes.
detox my life. I step away. I erase these stories and I move through it again. So it's a cycle
Mhm.
that's never ends. It's designed to be repeated. But through it all, you realize that you have this rechargeable energy within you that is the party within that's not even, it's kind of your energy, but it's really God's energy or like the universe's
Yeah.
energy that's like flowing through you. And so
Source.
it's
Yes.
learning how to tap into that without being super spiritual. Like anybody can do it. You don't have to believe in anything. You just
Yes.
do these things and it will happen.
Yes. Like you move with that intention, and it doesn't have to be labeled as spiritual. It's just like you're being that. Yes. I love how you put that like that because straight away people they hear the word spiritual, something like, oh no, that's not me. I'm not. So I love that there can be different perspectives around your work.
Yes. So that's the party
That,
within. And it's always evolving and growing. I'm working on it will be like a book and it will be a workbook, but I'm working on like a much longer version that kind of mirrors it on, my life and my struggles and some stories from my life about, particularly around a lot of it's around the death of my mom. She had been sick for a long time and was someone who loved like she loved the Grateful Dead and partying, but also like was very spiritual and wanted me so much and just I didn't quite know how to honor her when she was sick. And I would be out partying and she said go party, but I was also escaping and numbing and just I'm not sure if I was doing service, I think in a way. I see how higher power was using me to serve her, actually. I was able to go out and live a life that she was not able to because she was sick.
yeah,
But
that's really
I was doing
beautiful.
so very selfishly, like I was following my baser instincts, but I now realize that part of that was kind of a gift in some ways too. So it kind of maps that is that even if you're doing it quote unquote wrong, it's never wrong. You know,
Yeah.
I'd say one of the few things that I say where I don't want to be, right? It's okay to meditate into ground, but I've wasted years of my life sometimes overthinking and not taking
Yes.
action, not just
Yes.
doing and being in the world.
No,
So
I
that is what this is kind of about is moving through paralysis and stuckness into the world.
that is so beautiful. That is, I think, beautiful awareness around how you see how you are moving at that time and just, being aware of you then and now. And, I'm really sorry for your loss as well. Of course, I couldn't imagine how hard that would have been, but it shaped who you are now and you get to be this beautiful version of you and live out your work and through a love that your mum had through partying, things like that. And you get to live that every day. So I think that's amazing. And I really love that. I just wanted to end with a piece of advice that you would like to share with our audience, if there's anything that you could leave today.
Yeah, don't take advice from people. But that's my advice.
I love,
Because advice, in my
yes,
experience, is like it's just bias, right? Anything that I tell you of like do this thing, it's only based on my experience, and it's so biased by my own experience. And almost every time I've taken advice from people, I don't know, it just hasn't worked. So don't take advice. However, I think it's really cool to find people that are doing things in the world that you like. You're like, I want to be more like that, or I want more of that in my life. And I don't even think it's worth asking them, but just find out what they're doing. What are their habits? What are they like? What do they do on a day-to-day basis? And try to do more of that.
No, I love that
But I
so
think if
much.
they try to storytell around advice or this or that, I think it's dangerous actually. Because it's usually pretty biased and it's a lot of it is luck. So
Yeah, no, 100%. Be on your own journey and do what feels good for you and take everything with a grain of salt and be on your own
yes.
journey. I really, truly love that so much, and I couldn't agree more. But there was a
Yeah.
beautiful
And
takeaway for today.
yes. I wish I would have opened with this, but as we say, in a lot of spirit, like take what resonated and leave the rest.
Exactly. Thank you so, so much for being on today. I'd love for you to share where people can actually find you as well on social media and how we can work with you, because I'm sure a lot of my audience would love to work with you. I would myself, because everything that you do is amazing. So,
Beautiful. Well, first of all, Portia, thank you for being on your journey, for so early in your life, being willing to share with people, for waking up and dancing to songs, to moving through the cringe.
yes.
And you can find me if you just Google the party coach. You can find me anywhere. But my website is partycoach.me. And yeah, I have like I have things like that, but honestly, like if you want to work, the greatest gift would be is if you all just go out into the world and serve the party, whatever that means for you. And if that means calling your estranged dad, or it means like your high school friend that you've lost touch with, or it means going by yourself to a rave this weekend and finding someone who's anxious and just like showing up for them. Like I get emotional talking about this, but you have no idea how much the world would change if everyone that listened to this just did one of those things. And that's what I ask.
I love it. Thank
Well,
you so
thank you.
much. This was an honor.
Yeah, this was beautiful. Thank you so much for having me on and party on.
Yes, thank you guys. And also, obviously, share this, to friends and family, because this was just amazing. And I want to share the party with everyone else who is listening here and extend it further. So, love you so much, guys. And we will speak in the next episode. Bye for now.
Bye.